back to movie recaps. Today I will show you a psychotic romance drama film from 2016. The title Passenger. Spoiler alert, watch and take care. The instrument special hour can be seen traveling through a space editor colonized world called Homestead 2. All our ports are empty. The vessel is on autopilot. The 2,258 crew members as well as the 5,000 passengers are in the hidden rotation. Suddenly the ship passed through an asteroid belt that's a weakened in shell. Power is diverted to the main shell, but the ship is on a collision course with a giant asteroid. Suddenly the asteroid collides with the ship, causing various malfunctions, the ship being self-repeated but one of the hydration pods active. The passenger Jim Preston to a machine engine. His pod opens and the automated system helps with his awakening, telling him that he has spent 120 years in suspended animation and that is the only 4 months away from Homestead 2. He is told that he will be able to spend that time enjoying the luxurious aspect of the ship. Jim receives instruction about Idabel, his cabin and prime activities is take apart or prior to arrival at the plant. Executive and nervous to meet the people on the ship. He gets ready, leaves his cabinet and walks into an automated classroom to entering learning room. Jim looks a little anxious as the hologram explains the situation on Earth, calling it overpriced, and overrated. It tells him to hold his question to the end of the lesson. Jim keeps asking why he is the only one there. He realizes that the holding can't answer him, goes to search for the other people. He goes to the main consoles of the ship and no one is there either, but an automated information disk offer to help. Jim asks to talk to a real person to an instant of to talk to Stowe, but when the finds there's no one is there too. He is asking to sever the captain. When he gets the breeze, even the he doesn't have the access to go inside. He can see that none to the main crew is awake either. Jim eventually goes to the overstern and where we find that the ship is actually 9 years away from Homestead 2. He realized that he would up a stone and so he rushed back to the concourse and sent messages back to Earth asking what he should be do whatever doesn't know how to get back into the hibernation. The communication system information sent from that overpriced call to Earth will take approximately 55 years to get an answer back. Jim is devastated. He walks around and finds the Chip's bar where there seems another person and he is talking to the basement. Something seems to something about him when he goes to get him a drink. Jim listen. That's an android and it's called Arthur. Jim wants to find out more information from him but he can't even explain to the android how it's possible for him to be there at of him. Jim awakes up his cabinet and the next day and goes to the canteen and where the quick realize that most of the things of the menu are reserved for gold class passenger only. He gets his planned coffee and tries to figure out how to fix his hibernation chamber. After he gets all the tools, he manages to get it operation and listen down inside of the pod. But nothing happens. Next, he decided to use the tool he found to get into the crew's hibernation chamber. That doesn't work either. A small malfunction happened around the ship. Jim keeps returning to the bar to drink, but mostly to walk after. The android gives him some advice that convinces him to break into one of the gold class rooms and try to have some fun on the ship. Jim tries to also restore the game's temperature system, but as time passes, he becomes as more miserable to be there alone. One day he gets drunk and wanted to around hibernation pods when the situation into an airlock with a spectral design as a solution space wall. Jim gets into the suite and goes to the airlock, passes a lever when the button are released. Airlock locked door, and once outside the ship is mesmerized by the view. He is the only conscious human being experience that moment and mind. Jim released the magnet on his boats and factors in space, feeling devastated. He comes back inside the text of the shirt it on and unlocks with the wind. Back inside the sleeve on the bottom, Jim started up and instantly drawn to the woman in our one of the pots and aura. He searched for her files in the director and listened to her passenger interview, becoming impressed with her. Later, he's seen standing next to her, still listening into her interview. Back in the bar, he is reading to some of her work and is talking to Arthur about the work we're doing. He became obsessed with the irony of his situation going to another planet for a better life. Waking up early and not getting there and finding his perfect woman only for her to be rich, to be out of reach. He keeps talking about the stating and getting the idea to work up. He tells it over with the android, but he doesn't understand the conundrum. If he takes her for his own benefit, it rested and there with him to die the sheep. James decided against it fast that a time goes by can't let her until one day he changes his mind and he goes to her pot and mangrove to active it. As she is walking and going through the same process as he did, he hides and goes back in the room to his room. A little bit later, he goes to the main concern, hoping to find her, and there is she is just as confused as she a year ago. Jim tells her there is only one way and it takes to her to observe that. Then he tells that he is going to hunt neither the crew nor the main combo to the ship. Aurora freaks out and wants to get back into her port. When she gets in, Jim explains that there is no space equipment on the ship that can help them get back into the hibernation efficiency, telling her that they started go back with at the console and tells that her start rates when she just come out of hibernation. He tells sorry for him and having spent more than a year alone on the ship, Jim goes back to the bar and feeling grateful about what he did. He asks Arthur not to tell Aurora that he was one of that work of her. The next day, Aurora wakes up and she goes back to concern and tell Oscar automated info about the hidden hibernation pod. Jim's words asked not that to go to breakfast as there were break into the some spot and manufacture. As the Insecurity Centurion Aurora realized that the Jim has the one been eating breakfast for more than a year gets him one that gold class menu. They talk about possible for fix the pots, but unlike Jim, Aurora is ready to give up. She's searching for through the information that the screens now search for documentary and eventually ending up the crew's humble Pori tries to break him. John noticed more miles through the ship. Sometime later, Aurora learns about her life of the Aurora. She writes jokes around and the ship was in the pool becoming more aware of her situation. She goes to the Santana and to interview Jim, checking this that his story might be interesting. She asks why he immigration to the colony. Jim answers with the slogan with the company fast that the future explained that he hopes that one of new would be the me somebody he could build a life. Later they end up like observation and Aurora finally shared her reason to be there. Unlike the other passenger to the ship, she has a round trip ticket. Her idea was go to the Hampstead to live there for a year and come back to Earth to become the first journalist that had ever done that, writing the greatest story that was ever. Aurora slowly gives up a finding way to fix their current predicament with Jim figure on out of the chair her up. He takes her dancing to the cinema and to blacks down the block coat. Lovely, he takes her out to the bar to meet Arthur. She reflects a bit and she reminds the situation. Jim is left alone with the android feeling awful about what is go done to her. The next moment he is seen thinking and is seen with something that in aura which works into the observation or to find maintain the job meant for her. Sometime later they go on a date their bar. They have dinner and share stories about their lives. She tells him that her father died after when she is a teenager. After dinner, Jim asks Aurora to airlock the gate into the saber. They go for a spacewalk, and Jim finally saw someone to share the Magnet Express with. Jim switches off the magnets on their boots and they float together in a space. They come back inside the immediate case, rotate to the cabinet and sleep together. Soon after, they start living like a couple. Aura moves into the cabinet and writes about her life on the ship. They jog together, eat together, sleep together. Jim explained that the ship further and claims the hibernation bay. The biggest brown flows. One day, ship passed by a red giant and they go through the observatory to see it. It's Aura's birthday, so later that night they celebrate it in one of the many restaurants on the ship and that bar. Jim goes to the washroom and prepare the drink for made her Aurora while stay in the bar chatting with Aurora. The android tells Aurora that Jim wakes up intentionally hour that he was still to keep that a secret. Suddenly Jim comes back and she confronts him in the absolute disbelief. She runs away furious and pick Jim come back to his cabin to find her. Things goes. He runs into her in the cantina in the next day, but the moment he speaks, he runs away. Aurora is desperately. One night, she goes over to Jim's cabin, purchasing the creaking him, waiting to kill him, and taking to her to the victim. He exploits him. John thrills her opposite to explain his action to her. He tells her that he fall in love with her, but Aurora doesn't care. She can't forget him to taking her life. One night, as Jim in his cabinet, another manufacture happened. The ship forces critical and error, and the main command to shut down. Later, he walks into the elevator. If it manufactured, Aurora walks into the main concern to see that Jim plant as the tree there. Then she goes to the cantery and what the food display is also manufactured. Suddenly, both of the here are the voice of the deck chief over the cons asking the order to play the tree. The both of the endurance concert as gas mutual and standing to first tree. And into the concert and go see the guns as markers standing in front of Jim's tree. They introduce themselves to and tell them chief about the situation. He doesn't understand how three pots could fail. Mascot takes them to bring the discover and that there is something wrong with the ship. But the information on the system has to be checked manually. When they leave the bridge to a robot almost fall on the head and there are two of them still. Mascot that the manufacture have been happen all over the ship more frequently. He says that he shouldn't happen as he shows them to how collect the data. Mascot checks on the pots with Jim joins and him there. He's figured out what happens with Aurora's pot. The deck chief finds what Jim did to the travel and later he is at the brink checking at the collection data with Aurora joins. They talk about what happened and with the pot, but he tells that he can't do anything about it. Jim comes out with the 16 broken robot. Mascot feels the high rotation sickness to the he goes to, but as well as he got out of blood. The night Aurora can't sleep and she goes to for a swim. Suddenly there is a craven lodged through the ship and she starts drawing as the water from the pool mop with her. The gravity drives it recede the ship bravely it out of life. The both run into each other going to find Manasco. They on the back to the bridge and slowly discovering what has been going on the ship. Moscow figure out that something happened 2 years ago, tracking out of a major system. They need to find and fix what has caused the failure. Become the entire ship is trying to pick up the slack. If they don't fix it, the entire vessel will be stranded. They go to find the problem, but Moscow faints to Jim and Aurora like take him the infirmary. He is dying and there is no treatment that can stop it. Probably to time has she left. Sometimes later, the three of the men made to observation and Macro gives him Jim's his ID brands, tells her them to fix and the ship and identify patient. Suddenly, the light changes an alarming rate and the ship started shaking. Jim tells Aurora and that he needs her sleep help to and runs towards engines, but there is another failure in the gravity drive. The immediate another one of the effects author is as well as Jim driver him that today finally arrive in engineering and start looking for the problem. They find it in the power plant, and as they open the hull, and Aurora gets stuck in the assistant he caused and a branch in the hull. In this area, Jim gets shocked in two, but he holds up and the trees as keeping closing to on him. Eventually, he gets shocked in twin, but they quickly manage to steal the branch. Instantly, after facing the problem, Jim realized that there is more than one brains in the hull. The whole two of the for the tragedy of the material and find the it has a reactor control computer. Jim thinks he can find replacement parts for it. They will find the part of the changes, the process of the venting the reactor of still phase they do it manually, but it fails again. Jim figures out he needs to open the vent door from outside the ship to ship. They can control the actor down. Both of them go through air clocks and he is getting ready to go out. He gives Aura Masco and breakfast because he might not come back. She helps him with the suit, and as we walk into the airlock, she tells him to come back because she can't live on the ship without him. Aura goes back to the reactor while they are in treatment. His critical height. A bolt from the reactor pulls into her arm as James is getting closer to the vent from the outside and sees the door. The temperature rises in the reactor room while he is trying to bypass the vent door to open it. He soon realizes that he is have to manually hold the door and open the skirt when can Winby as he was to Aura. She doesn't like the plan, but he goes ahead with it. He tells her when the reactor. She doesn't want him to die when they argue, but tells her they have to save the other people and save Ben's reactor. The process is successful, but the funds from the reactor breaks Jan's brain. The passenger is in his suite dropping too. He tells Aurora what happened and she moves as fast as she can get into another suite and bringing him in. He apologizes to her again and she puts her suit and files to get him, but his treated is too short. She's pulled back. Suddenly onto his managed to pull him in. Aura drags him into the immediate only to find out who is already dead. She uses Manco's bracelets to over the metal broadcast and to refresh him. The medical pod does the work automatically and reveals him Jim. Aura forgives him and later Aura fixes the author and gives the Moscow a proper space brewer. Jim takes her to intervention and tells her that he's found the manual pod as ambitious one. He tells her to get inside and pod and right out of the journey is there, but at later reveals she declined to decide to stay with him. Away on the ship, Jim Froskin and to the her out of the lives. 80 years later, the Aura arrives in home too. The crew wake up and finds two sheep in a very unexpected start. Aura leaves them a message detailing story of the life and her Jim had on the ship while they are sleeping. That's all end here. Thanks for staying us. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.